Good morning. Welcome to Caffeinate Your Career. Today's topic is crazy interview questions. I'm your host, the career coach with the most, Jason Hopper. With me today, back again, we have Miss Sandy Knight. Sandy, welcome to Caffeinate Your Career.
Good morning. Glad to be here again.
All right. Let's see if we are live. Oh, here we go. We are indeed live.
Okay.
And I can hear us, so everything is working correctly today.
Yay, that makes it a good day.
It does. So, Sandy, sometimes interviewers are going to ask, kind of off-the-wall questions that just don't make any sense in the context of the interview. Why? What's one of the reasons? Why do they do that?
Well, really, there's a couple of reasons they might do it. One is sometimes it's just an icebreaker. They just want you, to have a little fun, to get relaxed. They know you're stressed or you're nervous or, whatever. So sometimes they just do it for fun, to get you to relax. But other times they're really just trying to see how you think about something, how you would go through the process, and then also how you go, how you answered in general. Right? It says a lot about you. And maybe if somebody asked, what's your favorite movie, let's say.
Yeah.
Right. They're just wanting, they're just wanting to know, what movie would that be and why? They might ask you why is that your favorite movie. So it does give some sense of their personality.
Yeah.
Versus asking the same old questions, right? Tell me about yourself, or what's your weakness, what's your strengths,
right.
Things like that.
Right.
So,
well, too, also to like those questions. Tell me a little bit about yourself, or what's your greatest strength, your weakness. Those questions are usually practiced, right? Like you have,
yes, that's true.
Like you've worked on answering, hopefully practicing those types of answers. So them asking you some kind of a curveball question kind of can throw you off. And I think sometimes, too, they use it to try and get you to see how well you perform under pressure.
Yeah, how you think on your feet, too.
Yeah, right.
Out of the blue, right?
So they're going to be in a couple of different categories, right? It's going to be like this or that, right? So like cat or dog.
Right.
Or pen or pencil.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I think, would be more of your personality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you prefer using a pen or a pencil?
I would depend on the situation. If I need to erase, I'm going to use a pencil.
Okay.
But if most other times I use a pen.
Okay. I always use a pen.
Okay.
If I screw something up, I just cross it out and keep writing.
See, I don't like a messy paper. So.
See, that's, again, personal preference right there.
Exactly.
By the way, hi Sharon Harris. Hey Yolanda Chin. I see you guys in the chat. The chat's working today. That's great. So this or that comparison, or imagine that. And then there's usually some kind of a wacky scenario where they want you to finish the rest of the story, and basically like more how you solve the problem.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. I was once asked, what would you do if there was a zombie apocalypse, right? So I was like, well, I know there aren't zombies, right? So
I don't know about that. There could.
Well, in my mind, I don't think there's zombies.
There could be zombies.
But there could be an apocalypse.
There could be. The zombie apocalypse is coming.
Right. So that's why I would probably go through, okay, now what would I do in an apocalypse? First thing I'd probably do is gather my family, if I had a family, find shelter, right? Try to find safe shelter.
Yeah.
Try to find food and water, right? So I would kind of go through that process, but the truth of the matter is I may never really know what I'm going to do unless I'm faced with something, because sometimes in a tragedy or emergency or something like that,
yeah,
some people react really well,
right,
to So they may ask that question to see how you might deal with something that emergency or something, happening right away.
If you're in the chat, tell me how you deal with a zombie apocalypse. I would put, that was one of the questions that was on the sheet is should the zombies be fast moving or slow moving?
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I would probably put a treadmill in front of the doors and windows so that it's like they walk this like back and forth. They can't get in.
Yeah, see, there you go. That's if you believe in zombies, right?
I'm telling you, the zombie apocalypse is coming.
It's real.
It's coming soon. The other category is going to be like logic stumpers, right? They want to know your thought process. So, like for example, they may ask, like, how many pennies are there in the world?
Yeah, that's so. That's one of those questions that you may not really have any clue, right?
Right.
But, sometimes you could say, it's funny you asked that question. I was just thinking about that the other day.
How many pennies?
I don't know why, but it just kind of, I had pennies in my...
Just jumped in your head.
It just jumped in my head. So here you are asking that, and here's what I thought at the time. I just thought, okay, what if every single person had 100 pennies in their possession? They have a bank, they have them in their purse or their wallet, their pocket change, whatever. Just threw out a number like that. And then I thought, okay, well, how many people are in the world? So I, thought about, well, there's 8 billion people in the world. And then I did the math, which I cannot do right now because
we're doing a live stream.
And I have to get out my calculator. Yeah. But that's kind of what the process I thought about when I was thinking about it. But if you hadn't been thinking about it, obviously most people aren't. It's again just how would you go
that logic,
process,
right.
The logic of it. Right. Are you a logical thinker?
Well, so if there are 8 billion people in the world, and let's say like everybody has at least one penny,
right?
It'd be 8 billion pennies.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sharon Harris says that the zombies are slow and powerless. Y'all are that's why the crazy interview because this is going to be a fun episode. The other category that's going to fall into crazy questions is like a moral dilemma, right? They want to know what kind of ethics that you might have. So, for example, they may ask, like, if your boss asked you to lie, would you?
And that's a really good question. And I would probably say that's a great question. And, this is how I would think about it. Obviously, if it was something really egregious, I could not do it. There's just no way. And also, but if it was something like a little white lie, or somebody said, well, just between us, let's just keep it to this, right? We don't need to get into all of that, right? So there's a whole spectrum. But they're obviously really trying to find out how ethical you are, how honest you are, right? Would you be a whistleblower?
Yeah, right.
If it really came down to it, would you report it?
I think the reverse of that though, like, is if your boss lied to you, what would you do?
I think that happens.
I think it's why I'm at JFS because I was the last position I had, and the person that was we had to change in management, and they lied like right to my face, and I'm like, don't want to work for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they started that process.
Yeah, I mean it's really about your values and your morals and ethics. So.
Sharon Harris says, what do they see your salary as? And she's having fun here today. Just glad to be online. Thanks for watching, Sharon. I appreciate that. So, Sandy, if you're asked a weird kind of question, what should you do?
There's a couple of different ways you can handle weird, crazy questions. There's nothing wrong with taking a moment to think about it, first of all.
Okay.
Or, like I said before, take a moment and say, that's really a great question. Just so you just can have a pause for a moment. Or, that is something that actually has faced me one time, or you have a story about it, right? So you can answer various ways, but it's okay if you just say, or something like, I've never been faced with that situation. Now, if it's like, if you're asked red or blue, right?
Yeah.
Then you're going to say which color and probably why,
Well, yes. So, hopefully, you'll have more than just a one-word explanation. I think, like in
exactly,
anything, you should have.
You wouldn't just say blue.
Yeah.
You'd say blue because or it's always been my favorite color since I was a kid, and my room was blue. Whatever comes up for you.
I think that's right. It's always a good idea because it takes us like 10 seconds or whatever to process.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just buying time and or asking questions, you now should have formed some kind of an answer to say back to the interviewer. I think too, it's important to not to avoid answering the question. Right.
Well, you definitely don't want to do that. You don't want to not answer the question or say, I don't know.
Right.
Never thought about it. Things like that.
Right. Well, that just goes like with any interview situation. You have to answer the question they ask, right? Because oftentimes, like they may ask you a question, and instead of answering it, you just talk around it.
Mm-hmm. That is something I will tell you in my experience, many years of experience in this. That is something key that interviewers and companies look for, recruiters, the hiring managers, whatever. Do they answer the question? And do they answer it succinctly?
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Not going, like you said, going on and on all around it or just going on beyond it, Answer the question. If they want to know more about what you've just said, they're going to ask.
Right.
So really listening to the question is important.
I'm sorry, what? I wasn't listening. I think I'm funny.
I almost believe
it. You look in your face, you're about to answer again. Oh, okay. I think, too, like, it's a good idea. So they already know the question's goofy, right?
Yeah,
so,
of course.
I think, looking them in the eye and coming up with some kind of answer, no matter how wild or crazy it might be, is really the way to go. Because, one, you're answering the question. We just talked about it. Two, I think, too, just like with any kind of story, the more interesting or off the story is, the better the person remembers, the more they remember, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're able to say, man, when the zombie apocalypse comes, I'm putting treadmills in front of my doors and windows so they can't get in, right? They just continually walking. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I never thought about it about how you might answer is also saying, I've never experienced that, but what I did experience was something very similar.
Right.
So you might come up with another scenario.
I like that. That's a really good tactic because I've never had to fight off zombies.
Right.
But I have had to fight off a vampire.
Oh,
and,
okay.
And in doing that, I can tell that it's a different fight. Yes, but it's important to survive the vampire attacks.
Okay.
Okay. The rest of this, by the way, is a good time to plug our VIP Squared program. Yeah, we have a VIP Squared virtual interview practice program. We have virtual interviews that we do here every Tuesday at 1 o'clock Central. Because, guys, interviewing is a skill. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And you need to be practiced at it. And if you are interested in it, what will happen is, again, it's virtual. You can participate anywhere. I will put you and an interviewer into a breakout room. They will interview you for 30 minutes, and then there will be 15 minutes of feedback. And then after that, you're done, and they will send me a feedback form that I will send to you before the end of the week. So you'll have something tangible and a takeaway Sandy's on the interview team. If you want to interview with Sandy, email me. My email is the letter J, Hopper, HOPPER, at jfsdallas.org, and put practice interview in the subject line, and we'll get you scheduled for that. I got 6 people on the team right now, so that's 6 different chances for you to interview and practice.
And 6 different personalities and methodology, and
yeah,
similar, but some very different.
Yeah. We're full up for today, and actually, I've already got half of next week filled already. Yeah. So if y'all are interested, let me know. All right. So this next bit, Sandy, is we're going to answer some crazy interview questions. Why not? Why not? So
put me on the spot. No, I'm just...
You have the questions already. Forget. Sandy, tell me 10 things you can do with a pencil other than write.
You can put it behind your ear. You can use it for a measuring against the wall to see where you want to put a picture, or in drawing, you use a pencil to kind of get an idea of how big you need to, or a relationship, the proportion that you have to do on the paper. You can put it in a plant, hoping that, make a hole and plant something, right? So you can use it to dig a hole.
Okay, yeah.
How many is that?
It's like 5.
Okay.
6.
Need I go on?
You can use it as a weapon.
Yeah, definitely.
To kill zombies.
Or, what we said as parents when we were, right? Stop running and you're going to poke yourself in the eye, right?
That's right.
So you could poke somebody in the eye, for sure, in that. So, let's see, what else would I do with it?
Twirl it.
I was going to say I would play with it.
Flip it.
Yeah. Or how many people chew on a pencil because, they just quit smoking, or they don't have any gum with them, or they're just nervous, right? So you can chew on it.
Yeah. All right. Somebody did notice I have a new mug. It's a big, giant mug. All right. I try to change it.
I hope you're really caffeinated.
I change the mug like every month. I get a different mug.
Okay. I didn't know that about you, see?
I know.
I might ask you that question. How come you have a new mug every month?
It's just fun and different. I want to see if anybody actually pays attention to the mug that I have. Okay. What's your spirit animal?
Elephant.
Elephant. Why an elephant?
Because they are they just kind of slumber along. They're peaceful. Their eyes are just so magical when they look at you. I got to go to Thailand and walk with the elephants.
Oh, cool.
I got to bathe them, and it is a spiritual experience. And just how they live, they live so long, and how they connect as family, right? And they protect each other's babies and things like that. So I have always just had a thing.
Interesting.
For elephants.
That's a good answer. I would probably say lion, because the lion is the king of the jungle, and nobody gonna mess with the lion.
Okay. Well, you can see how different answers tell
right.
Different things about people.
Sandy's all nice and peaceful. I'm looking for I'm gonna look for a fight and rule the jungle. Yeah.
But in all kidding aside, if you would ask your boss that, let's say you wanted to ask a crazy question.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with.
Yeah.
Right? So what if I asked you, what's your spirit animal? Right? And this person says a lion, and he says, because it rules the jungle. Well, you might have a little idea about what that person's going to be like as a boss.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's that back and forth.
You can reverse it sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. If they ask you kind of a crazy question, you ask them, well, what about you? What's your spirit animal?
Yeah.
And then we're also kind of just talking and not really, it's a lot like more organic and loose instead of like, because interviews can be kind of rigid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What else? Oh, why are manhole covers round?
Well, first of all, that's a very old question. So,
Yes.
but how I would answer it is they are round because humans have to go down in them. And so they make them enough that the person can fit arms, legs, head, nose. That's my
Everything.
answer. I have no idea if that's really the answer, but that would be my answer.
There's actually a real answer to that question.
Okay.
And the answer is because if they were square, so they're heavy to begin with.
Yes,
if they were square, you can't really roll it away.
Mm.
So because it's round, you can pick it up and roll it off to the side. It's square. You can't do that. And also something about the way the science of it, also and how it sits in the hole.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that humans have to go down.
And humans have to go down them. What would you do if you won the lottery?
Oh, I've thought about that many times.
Yeah, me too.
First of all, I wouldn't tell anybody. I'd be one of the people that would be anonymous. Because I don't know about your family.
They start coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, people start coming out of the woodwork. But I would definitely go and seek a financial planner right away. Or if I had one already, could take it to them because I'm sure everybody's read about somebody that's won the lotto and then became very poor, And then you also have to think about, because eventually it's probably going to come out, right?
Yeah.
So then you do have to think about how you would handle the relatives or the friends or, the people wanting donations, right? And how you would really handle those. So you'd have to have a plan.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm going to do this, this, this. If my family comes, I'm going to do this. If I, and you may decide, hey, I'm going to give each family member $100,000 and say that's it. So you just really have to think about it before reacting too quickly and have a plan. That's how I would deal with it.
Okay. That's pretty good.
Because I don't want to lose it.
Right.
After winning it.
Yeah.
So
I think that's right. I would also probably be very quiet about it and just figure out ways to invest it. And also, too, I would continue to work. I'd get bored, I think, if I just stopped working.
I think it depends on how much you want, but
that too.
Because you don't necessarily have to work to have purpose and meaning, right? You may decide to use your time differently by volunteering, by giving to different organizations that you really believe in, things like that. So, there's different ways to
coming up with better ways to kill zombies.
Yeah.
Zombie research. Sandy, if you were given an elephant and you cannot give the elephant away, what would you do with the elephant? We already know it's your spirit animal, so what would you do with your elephant?
Well, I would definitely have to buy a bigger place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I would like the animal to have the space. I don't want him just in my little square of backyard. So I would see how much I obviously get from my house, what I could do. Can I? And I'm not giving it away, but I might shelter it somewhere else.
Okay.
It's like somebody having a horse in another barn, right?
Yeah.
So I probably might look for a reserve where they can live peacefully and have the space. So those are a couple things I would do.
That's a pretty good answer.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to give him away either. He's my spirit animal.
I think like my backyard is big enough to support an elephant. There won't be a whole. Because we have a pretty big backyard. I think I would probably advertise. I'd set up a GoFundMe because I think feeding an elephant's kind of expensive. And so I would probably start that, but also too, I would charge $5 for people to ride the elephant. Make a little money from that elephant.
Yeah, but as I found out in Thailand, they don't do that anymore.
They don't.
They started thinking it was cruel.
Oh.
Have people ride it. So I'm just saying, Jason.
When I was a kid, I did ride an elephant.
No, I know.
And it was fun.
The handlers ride them all the time, but.
What about when you go on vacation? When do you pack?
Oh gosh, I start packing at least a week in advance, especially if it's going to be a big trip. So, for instance, last summer I went to Alaska. So, the weather is very different even in the summer. So I had to think about that. I had to have rain gear. I had to have, hiking shoes. So what I start doing is I start putting things out on my spare bedroom bed.
Okay.
So that, okay, I'm going to need that. I'm going to need that, things like that. Now, the last minute stuff is, all the other things that you need and that you would normally pack anyway, socks and underwear and shoes and, whatever. So I'm the kind of person that wants to think about the things that I would not normally have to pack for that particular trip and start in advance. Because sometimes you have to order it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So if you don't have a rain jacket for some reason, you have to find one.
Yeah.
So
it's a good point.
Yeah.
I pack the day before.
I do that a lot from men.
I know how many days I was like, okay,
this could be a woman thing.
And like, I'll pick out my, like what I'm going to wear on the plane.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll have everything packed. So it's just a matter of getting up, shower. Here's my outfit. And then we're going to be gone 4 days. So I'm going to need 4 pairs of underwear, 4 pairs of socks, 4 shirts, 1 jacket, 2 pair of jeans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start packing an extra pair of shoes. We went to San Francisco, and we were on the beach, and we were way up here, right? There was no the beach. The waves weren't coming, and I took my shoes off, and sure enough, as we're walking down weren't far. Big wave came in, took my shoes, and
oh, they took them.
Yeah, I had to run after.
They're going to say that they just got wet. Right?
They got wet. I had to run after them. I got them.
Oh, that's funny.
And so then my shoes were wet, and so now I'm like walking, and like the surf shop, the specialty shop had flip flops, but they were like, I don't know, fancy flip flops. They were like $70. I'm like, I'm not paying $70 for flip flops. I'm just gonna wear wet shoes.
Which is not fun.
It's not fun. And then like we went to go eat, and I went next door after we ate food. I went next door to a craft brewery to get a beer, and Stephanie went next door the other way at the thrift shop and found a pair of cheap flip flops for like $2.
Oh, there you go.
So I didn't have to wear my shoes, but I'll start like packing like extra shoes, right?
But it does show that you have some improvisation skills, right?
Yes.
Or at least Stephanie does.
Yeah, for sure. What else we got? Oh, what do you think of garden gnomes?
I love garden gnomes.
Do you? Do you have any?
I have a few, yeah. I used to have more, but I'm in a smaller spot. Again, they're one of those things that just make you feel good. I think they're cute. They're sort of magical. They're they're fictional, so they're part of stories.
Yeah.
So there's just something fun about them, and so yeah, I like to have one or two now.
Yeah, I think like you should have at least 2. You can't just have one gnome.
No,
that would be sad.
Have to be friends.
Yeah, that would be sad for the gnome.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think Brad Pitt's a good actor?
Most of the time.
Okay.
Most of the time, I've seen him in things that I'm now trying to think of what I thought was so. But well, isn't he in the movie recently with George Clooney?
Yeah, Wolves.
Yeah. That was not.
That's okay.
Yeah, that was not one of
Fight
those
Club.
banners.
Fight Club's pretty solid.
Oh yeah, and well, there's several, Benjamin, but there's plenty that are really good.
All right, so we're getting close to time, but we'll do 2 more. Who would win a battle between a ninja and a pirate?
I think a ninja. And the reason I say that is that they really are able to be light on their feet, right? They know how to throw that star knife thing,
Right.
yeah, very flexible. Think of the Matrix off it. In some ways, obviously you can't really move like that, but they're very nimble. That's what they learn, is to be quick, to be, fast and to throw
I think Ninja.
accurately.
Yeah, I think Ninja too, because pirates, I think, have just they can brawl, but that's like about it. Where ninjas are more trained.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this last one, I think it was just kind of a mean question, which was as an interview questions. Are your parents disappointed with your career
I knew you were
aspirations?
going to ask that one. I just knew it, yeah. Yeah, for me, no, they weren't. We're not. But you do know of people. Now, my daughter is a little different in that she decided to go into theater.
Okay.
Right. Well, there's not going to be a lot of money in theater. I mean, unless you're a big actor. But she was on the technical theater side.
Yeah.
So and then she went to a private school for it. So she's not even doing it today.
Right.
Because when she had a family, she wasn't going to work nights like that. Or go on the road. That's what she did mostly. She traveled the world with Disney shows.
Interesting.
Yeah, so she did all the lighting and stuff like that, but and had an amazing time and really misses it.
Yeah.
Because she really does love theater, in that whole atmosphere, but it wasn't realistic.
Yeah.
So she had to kind of reinvent herself, her and her husband, really, because that's how they met. So when it comes to me, no, my parents were, of the opinion, what makes you happy. But I also was always taught, the business side of things. So
Yeah.
I always knew I would probably be in some kind of corporate role because I was fascinated. I used to go to my dad's office with him just to see how he conducted business.
Interesting.
So that was kind of our thing. Yeah.
Interesting. I'd say probably not on my end, but also too, like, honestly, working here at Jewish Family Service was really the only kind of calculated move that I made. I fell into staffing, and I did that for 14 years, lost my job, happened to pivot to be a job coach for the state, again, fell into it, had to go to the orientation, and they put me up as a candidate, and I ended up getting the job. I didn't even want that job.
Well, I want to say something about that, actually, because we say I fell into human resources, right?
Right.
But when I think about it, I really didn't fall into it because the person who came to me, I was doing my master's, had no idea exactly what I was going to do yet. And because my undergrad was in sociology and my master's was in educational psychology. So, and you had a choice between the mental health and counseling, like the clinical side, or more of a business type thing. So, of course, I was going to go the business route. But I had a friend who was consulting in a company that was looking for an HR manager, which I had never done. Okay.
And so,
And it hadn't in a union facility. And I'm not talking just any union facility. It was steelworkers. Okay. Rough crowd. Okay. Rough audience. And I said, you're crazy. You kidding? But he saw something in me.
Yeah.
That knew or thought, that I could do this job.
Yeah.
And he said that to me. I think you would really be good at this. Right? And so, yeah, you can say I fell into it. But on the other side of things, somebody saw something.
Yeah.
That led me into it. And then when you think about your next jobs, you can see where there's stepping stones.
They should be, yes.
Yeah, but they do end up naturally or organically going that way when you think about it, right? So I just think you can say I fell into things, but if you really start thinking about it, you probably didn't.
I think, something, because I was I was an on-site manager and then left there to go be like an in-house recruiter at a staffing company. And then I went to another agency. Oftentimes, especially in staffing, recruiters are migratory because it's staffing is staffing is staffing. Oh, you're going to pay me how much more to do the same job over here? Okay, great. And so, just go through it.
Yeah, but you have to think about, why did they hire me? In that case, I had zero experience.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what a collective bargaining agreement was. Okay, I think I'd seen one in college, but I was just like, and I mean, it was a learning curve, but it laid the foundation for the rest of my career.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, Sandy, we're at time. There's no real fun question for the day because all the questions were kind of fun for the day. But next week, you'll be back next week, and we will be talking about ways to combat ageism.
Yeah, that's a fun topic.
Yes, it is.
I just want to say also, though, as we've gone through this process, I hope you've been thinking about how you would have answered the questions, that we asked.
Yeah.
And how you can answer those with confidence, by just staying calm, by just pausing, right?
And having fun with it.
Having fun with it, exactly.
Because I think that's the key. Right
yeah.
There. So, it's crazy to have your questions next week. We'll talk ageism. Have a great week. We'll see you all later. Bye.